What's up, YouTube? This is Scouse311 again. I'm trying to figure out how to work this MacBook, so I'll figure it out. Throw something else up there real quick. This is gonna be my top 10, kind of a top 10 games of the year. Everybody else is doing one, so what the hell? Figured I'd do one too. Even though it's not really a top 10, like it's my favorite games, maybe not the best games. Although most of them I think, are considered to be pretty much some of the best games of the year. But games I enjoyed, more of an enjoyment factor than technical and all that crap. Which I do care about as well, but whatever. Enjoyment is what matters to me, right? So anyway, so I do have a smaller little list here of special considerations, I called it, which is games that I really liked but weren't good, and some were good enough, but there's another reason. One is well, let's start with that one. Special consideration game Forza Motorsports 4. If I'm not really a racing fan, that's why I was going to put it in the top 10 thing. But Forza 4 is a great game if you like racing. It's pretty much everything I wanted Gran Turismo 5 to be, which I thought was kind of lackluster after waiting so long for it. It was okay, but Forza it just does everything so well, and it's a fantastic racing game. I'm not much of a racing game guy, but it's definitely worth it. And then the other one that I put on there was two more for just liking. One is Bastion. If you haven't played that, it's an Xbox 360 arcade game that was fantastic. I kind of saw a little thing on that in the Game Informers I get for being part of GameStop. I get them mailed to my house, and I saw it. And the one reason I really wanted to play it was that one of the guys who made the game was Greg Kasavin, who used to be a GameSpot reviewer, and he was my favorite reviewer probably I've ever watched. And back in GameSpot, I actually kind of watched the reviews. Now I'm like, eh. But he was a great reviewer, and he left them and made his company to make games, and he made Bastion, and it is a very cool game. A great art style. And just a cool idea. The world kind of develops as you walk through it. It's interesting. It's worth a download to play it if you like an RPG. It's an action RPG, but it's very cool. And my other game that I'm going to put every year is FIFA. And this year's FIFA was better than last year's FIFA, which was better than the FIFA before that. I love sports, and I love FIFA. It's the best sports game there is, I think. NHL is a good game, but I didn't play it this year, and NBA I didn't play this year either, so I couldn't put them on there, but I did hear that the NBA game was pretty awesome too. Last year's was really good. But soccer games are the best to me. They're my top of the line games. They feel like the real sport. FIFA's fantastic. So then I got three more games that I really enjoyed this year, and I didn't put them in the official top 10 because they're kind of like they're remakes, or not remakes, but repackaged type of things. So they didn't actually come out this year, but they're repackaged and thing that I can't think of the right word. It's not repackaged, but reissue or whatever. Well, it's a remake. One is Ico and Shadow of the Colossus for the PS3 HD version, pretty much. Ico's a good game, which I like. Shadow of the Colossus was one of the best games I've ever played in my life when I played that on the PS2, and it's even better on the PS3. The PS2, the only problem with that game was it was frame rate issues at times because it was trying to do more than the PS2 can really do. And it looks absolutely gorgeous, and it plays even better, and it is an unbelievable game with an unbelievable story. It's one of the only games I almost felt like crying at the end of. It was, it's just, I talked to people about that game. They look at me like I'm crazy. They don't have no idea what I'm talking about. People don't play games. They're like, oh, you got this game story, man. And it's a fantastic. One of the other ones is Metal Gear Solid Collection, which obviously is our old games that were redone this year, and that's another one that's worth playing if you like Metal Gear at all. It has 2, 3, and Peace Walker, the PSP game, actually on there. Now it's on PS3 through this collection, and it's worth playing for sure. I love Metal Gear games, a big fan, so this was a no-brainer for me to play it, to buy it. And it's only like $40, maybe 50. It's worth it anyway. You get 3 full games. I played 2, and I played about a quarter of 3, maybe a third of 3, just to check it out. I played all of 2, And I haven't even touched the Peace Walker one yet, so I'm excited to do that because I never really played that one. I didn't have a PSP. And my last one is definitely of the special considerational type of things is Ocarina of Time 3D, which was everything I wanted and more from that. Because Ocarina of Time is one of the greatest games of all time. So, and they did a fantastic job with that. Um, it is I'm a Zelda freak. Not freak, but I'm a big Zelda fan. It's my favorite game series. And that game was obviously fantastic when it came out, and it's better than ever. You get the regular Ocarina, and you get the Master Quest all in one. With the 3D on or off, it's great. With it on, it's really cool. Except the battery goes way too fast on it. It's that stupid machine with the 3D on. And then one more kind of considerational game, which I think actually came out at the end of last year, 2010. But I really didn't start playing it until pretty recent, and new things come out for it all the time. So I'm going to put it in there, even though it doesn't really count. Is Pinball FX2 for Xbox Live, and it actually just came out today on the 3DS to buy for like $7. You get 4 tables. Pinball is a game I never thought I'd like, and it was free to download, and then each table is like 200 Microsoft points, which is pretty cheap. And they got tons of tables. But that game is the most addictive damn thing you'll play once you understand. That pinball, I always thought you just hit the ball somewhere. But once you start playing that, and every table's got a different strategy, and every table is its own thing that you got to try to figure out. It's a puzzle. I mean, first you got to figure out how to play the game right, and then you got to try to figure out each table, and it's just nonstop fun, which is what it's supposed to be. I don't usually play games that you have to get points. I like a story and go through a story or something to get to the end and have a real conclusion. Usually games where you get more points than somebody else don't interest me, but this is a game about points, but it's worth it. So, okay, those are my games that are kind of, not made at all, because some of the ones are remakes, so I didn't think they should be in there, and then the other ones are games I really liked but weren't good enough. So here is, I guess, my list. I don't like lists, really, but so this is in order from 10 to 1, but it's not easy. So at 10, I put Deus Ex: Human Revolution, which was a fantastic. All these games are fantastic, so I don't have to keep saying that. It was a cool game with a great atmosphere, a great story. You can play it 2 ways, maybe 3 ways if that's possible, but definitely 2. You can go the stealth route, where you can just run and gun and just use the gun route. And either way, the way you build your characters, you augment them with abilities. You can go through a stealth augments or like gun augments and armor, and you can completely play the game 2 ways and have completely different experiences. For the most part, at least the way your character plays. And it had a really cool art style and interesting story. Very well done. Number 9, I had Portal 2. Portal was a great game, one of my favorite games. Portal 2 is just as good. The puzzles are even cooler. Portal 2 also has humor, which lacks in a lot of games. Some games try to be funny and they're not. They just swear or do whatever. But Portal 2's got tons of humor, and I laugh out loud at a lot of that game. Plus, they have a cool co-op part that my wife and I play a little bit of, and it was a lot of fun too. So Portal 2 is fantastic. Number 8, I had Shogun 2 Total War for the PC. If any never played a Total War game, they're awesome. They are it mixes your real-time strategy with your turn-based strategy perfectly. And Shogun 2 was great because Empire, the one before it, was good, but it was almost too big. It was too big for itself, it felt like to me. I don't know. It seemed like they wanted to put so much into it that it almost kind of lowered the game. This was more of a refined experience where you're just in Japan, and so you don't have like North America and Europe and Africa to play through. You just have the Japanese, island, and it's so everything's more compact, and the time period's great, and the graphics are phenomenal. And if you like strategy at all, it's worth a shot. It's worth playing. Number 7, I have Uncharted 3, which I did a walkthrough for, a playthrough. Uncharted games are great, one of my favorite game series. Uncharted 3 was great. I don't think it was as good as 2, but that's just an opinion. There's things about it. The one thing I didn't like about the game was that like Drake had to touch every wall that he ran into, and it kind of looks cool that he's like grabbing the walls and doing this shit. It just didn't feel like too. I'm like, there's something about this game was kind of weird to me, and I know it's a picky thing, but something about this game was kind of weird to me. And I played 2 again just to throw it in and play through it a little bit, and that's what it just 2 felt better. Let's put it that way. But Uncharted 3 did have a cool, it was cool. It had a great story. It has the most unbelievable graphics, pretty much, and some of the best, probably the best voice acting you can have. So it was pretty awesome. Number 6 is Batman Arkham City, which was another great game with all the same things Uncharted had. Great graphics, great voice acting. Maybe the only game with better voice acting than Uncharted, if that's possible, but Mark Hamill's Joker is obviously unbelievable. Batman's unbelievable. I can't remember the guy's name who does Batman, but he's great. The Penguin is actually the one that I like the most, though, in that game. I like them all. Catwoman was cool. She was a little too skanky, but she was cool. Everything she said had some sex joke about it. Something about sex, pretty much, which is fine. Yeah, but almost a little too much. The Penguin was the top for me, though. He was just a great character. The way they took him and they didn't make him like a cartoony penguin character with a nose and all that shit. He's just a regular dude. Just a short regular dude, but with with revenge on his mind. He's pure evil man too, but he was very well done. And Mr. Freeze was pretty cool. He was well done too. So Batman Arkham City is great. Okay, number 5. This is where that doesn't really. Well, none of it. This is really where it doesn't matter. Any of these games. Witcher 2 is my number 5. Could easily be 4. Witcher 2 was awesome, and to be honest with you, I only played about 60% of it or 70% of it. I'm actually starting a playthrough of it. I got 6 or 7 videos done, so about 3.5 hours of it is ready to upload, but I'm going to wait on an upload until I play more of it. It's an older game. I'm not expecting many views on it, but I don't care about that. It's just a fantastic game. The minute you start playing it, you realize how great it is. It's just so much better than number 1. It's sick, but it's different than number 1. Number 1 was a different view. This is you're right behind Geralt all the time. Geralt, and the combat's fantastic, and it's hard, which I love. I like games that are hard because I want to die. I want to actually die and then figure out why it happened, and then improve. Most games, especially the games they make now, you don't ever die. I mean, I love Zelda, but I don't die in Zelda. At least maybe I'll fall off the ledge every once in a while, and that is rare, if ever. But yeah, that game is a bitch until you learned it. Once you learned it, it wasn't that bad. But until you learned it, there's a part in that game, and I mentioned it in my playthrough that I was watching. I think it was Togoff, and I could be wrong about that. I could definitely be wrong about that, but I was watching someone do this walkthrough, and he went to the beginning of the game in this courtyard where you have to lift a gate or something, and you have to kill these guys in the courtyard, and he died. He had to have died like 10 times, and he was getting so pissed off, and I was laughing my ass off because I know what it's like, because it happened to me too. And you die so fast is the thing, until you learn the game. You really need to learn it. And as you build your character up, you get better. So then the game actually gets easier because your character is better. So you actually have that feeling of becoming stronger, which is another great aspect of it. So anyway, I got 5 for Witcher 2. Great graphics, great combat, and just a great game. Number 4, I have Skyrim, which is another game which is unbelievable to me. Obviously, it's number 4. It's gigantic, and it's the next evolution of Elder Scrolls, which I haven't played them all. I started Elder Scrolls with Morrowind, so I played that, and I played Oblivion, and Skyrim is the best of all of them. It's still buggy, but the game that big has to be buggy. And they have worked on it, which I'd like to. They've patched it up, so it does play better than it was. And it wasn't really playing bad; it was just buggy. But the size and scope of that game, the graphics, the fact that I can play it and you can play it, and we can have completely different experiences. I mean, it's a game you can talk to your buddy who plays it about, and you actually talk about the game. What you've done. And it's pretty amazing. So that's number 4 for me. Remember, these are favorites, not order doesn't really matter, but you need an order somehow. Number 3, I have Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is my current walkthrough, which I'm at 91 videos and 61 hours, and it is awesome. And there's not really much to say about it. If you watch the walkthrough or playthrough, more of a playthrough, you'll see. It's fantastic. I play as a Sentinel, which isn't easy all the time. But I just got Doc, who heals, and that is a big help, I'll tell you that. So I might go back for some revenge on some of these guys, even though I'm getting too high of a level for the guys who were whooping my ass earlier. But it's I played WoW for quite a few years, and then I just got bored of it. I get bored of games after a while. It's not WoW's fault. I just get bored of it. This game is, for one, you got a lightsaber, so that alone makes it cool. But it's kind of a single player game in a multiplayer arena or whatever. You only group when you need to, and you can just play through it almost like it's Knights of the Old Republic for the most part. You get companions, you get multiple ones, and they can do different things. Like Doc's a healer, and Kira is your DPS. Like Counselor, kind of, she uses the Force, and she uses a double lightsaber, but I die when I use her because she can't heal me. And then I got my T7, my little robot, who's my tank. So you can bring these guys in, you send them out on missions to get gear, and to get items to craft. The game's so big, it's crazy. And I wish I could play another character, but I want to get to 50 with my guy. So Star Wars is number 3. It's just awesome. It doesn't have the best graphics. It doesn't have the best, it's got great sound though, and every line is voice dialogue, which is ridiculous for an MMO. But it is pretty awesome. So let's see what we got left here. Number 2 is Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword, which was my first playthrough I ever did 2 months ago. I started it, and it's been up for a while. And any Zelda game is going to get in the top for me because it's my favorite game. It's my favorite series. It's perfect gameplay to me. It's crack, basically, because it's almost like an MMO crack. MMO's like a drug. They know what they're doing. There's reasons why WoW has 10 million players, or used to. Zelda to me is like that. It's a role-playing game more than an action game. It's an action game, obviously, the way you fight, but you level by getting your items, and the way that they created the world in this one, I didn't like it at first, to be honest with you, because there's just something about it I didn't like, it was hard, and the more I played, the more I liked it, and then when I did the walkthrough, I really, really liked it. But the way that the world is now a dungeon, almost, like, before, like, Ocarina, you would just ride your horse from Death Mountain to Lake Hylia, and a few ghosts of skeletons would pop if it was nighttime or something. But now it's like the whole world, to get to the dungeon, is a dungeon within itself. You have to use your items that you got during the game in the overworld, And the flying the bird was cool. You didn't do too much, You went to an island, just got treasure, basically. So it's something I think they could have improved on. But it doesn't matter. The game was fantastic. The controls are spot on. My walkthrough that I played it on was actually on the computer with a emulated game. I played with a Wii remote, but it was through a Bluetooth thing through my computer, and it would screw up a lot on me. So if you watch my walkthrough, there's a lot of times where I'm pointing backwards to go left or something, and I was like playing like this and shit at times because the thing would just go crazy, and you can't reset it until you turn the game off. And there's some, if you're pointing like to attack or something with a bow, you're fine. But if you had to like swim, it was fucking hell. But we got through it. But the actual Wii version, the controls are perfect. I read some stuff or read some. I know the GameSpot review got a lot of flack because they said the controls weren't good. I had no problem with the controls. Once you understood it, you point at the screen and hit the button to reset it, and you're good. If you're going to use your bow, make sure you're pointing at the screen. When you don't have to point at the screen. Actually, you just have to hold it flat and forward, and then he'll be fine. You just got to learn the game. People just want shit to play it for themselves these days. I'm old and grouchy about that stuff. So Zelda Skyward Sword is fantastic, great. The story's great, because especially if you're a Zelda fan over the years, because it's a prequel and it shows you how a lot of this stuff came to be. The graphics were very cool, kind of a mix between Wind Waker and Twilight, kind of a more adult Wind Waker. The music was unbelievable. And we actually have a soundtrack that plays for my daughter when she sleeps. It's actually been in there for 2 weeks. We always play music for her. She's been listening to Zelda for 2 weeks now. Get the soundtrack that came with the game I got. Yeah, and the music's fantastic. So, Zelda's number 2, which leaves number 1 for me this year, the game that I put the most hours in, even more than Star Wars. And by far the best game I've played in a while is Dark Souls. Played on the PS3, and then I ended up getting it on the 360 because I'm stupid like that. Games are, I don't know why. I don't even know why. I got it for 2 systems, but I do, and if they ever put it off with PC, I'll probably get it for that too. Dark Souls is the best game I played in a long time. It's the perfect game for me. I just get lost in that game. I had to put over 100 hours in that game easily, and that's with multiple characters. It's just the vibe of it is so fantastic. They make this world so dark and helpless feeling, and you're just stuck in there, and everything just wants to beat the crap out of you, and it's hard as hell. It's like Witcher 2 hard, once you get it, it's not that bad. You're still gonna die though. But a lot, even if you're great, you'll still die sometimes. No, maybe not. There's probably people who can never die in that game. I'm not one of them. But you can definitely... it's a game with challenge, and that's what I like. Same thing I said about on the Witcher 2 one. Games without challenge are boring. After a while, Zelda, which is my number 2 favorite game this year, it was too easy. I mean, I didn't come close to dying. I probably had 80% at least in my hearts almost all the time, except for those one guys in that mining facility that you had to blow at to spin them and then stab them. I hate those fucking guys. But other than those guys, the game was easy. I took 2 hits on the boss of the Citadel or whatever, the Ancient Cistern. I mean, and he's one of the best bosses I've ever played. But I took 2 hits and killed him. Dark Souls, you don't do that. You gotta learn it. Every enemy is a puzzle, for the most part. You gotta learn what to do, and where you swing is where you hit. And if you die, it's because you weren't good enough. That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's perfect for me. And there's multiple ways to play it, multiple things to do. In the way you play a game, you can be a mage, you can be a thief character. You can do a whole bunch of shit. You backstabbing people. Just multiple ways and to play the game. The graphics are fantastic because they're dark and eerie, and just the setting and the mood you get into is just so cool. The gameplay's spot on, like I said. There's really nothing else to say. It's the best game I played this year, and it's probably one of the best games I ever played. I loved Demon Souls, but this blows it out of the water to me. So, anyway, everybody else is making these videos. I figured I'd throw up a list. Let me know if you agree with it. If you don't agree with this, it's fine. Let me know what your favorite games are. Hopefully there are games that aren't even on this list, because that's the whole point. Everybody likes different things, So that's about it. So I'll see you guys later. I want to get some more Star Wars done and get that up. I want to go to that cache place. I gotta get to 36, so I got some work to do. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.